Welcome to Slothful Slumber, the podcast where we transform the vast knowledge of the internet into a gentle lullaby for your mind. I'm your host, Luna Dreamwell, and I'm here to guide you on a journey to tranquility through the soothing cadence of Wikipedia articles. Each episode will delve into the most wonderfully mundane and sleep-inducing topics, helping you drift off into a realm of serene dreams. So find your comfortable space, close your eyes, and let the dull hum of information carry you into a restful slumber. Now, let's embark on tonight's voyage of tranquil learning as we explore a topic so peacefully uneventful, it just might whisk you away to the land of dreams. This Wikipedia article is titled Encyclopedia. An encyclopedia is a reference work or compendium providing summaries of knowledge, either general or special, to a particular field or discipline. Encyclopedias are divided into articles or entries that are arranged alphabetically by article name or by thematic categories, or else are hyperlinked and searchable. Encyclopedia entries are longer and more detailed than those in most dictionaries. Generally speaking, encyclopedia articles focus on factual information concerning the subject named in the article's title. This is unlike dictionary entries, which focus on linguistic information about words, such as their etymology, meaning pronunciation, use, and grammatical forms. Encyclopedias have existed for around 2,000 years and have evolved considerably during that time as regards language, written in a major international or a vernacular language, size, few or many volumes, intent, presentation of a global or a limited range of knowledge, cultural perspective, authoritative, ideological, didactic, utilitarian, authorship, qualifications, style, readership, education level, background, interests, capabilities, and the technologies available for their production and distribution, handwritten manuscripts, small or large print runs, internet. As a valued source of reliable information compiled by experts, printed versions found a prominent place in libraries, schools, and other educational institutions. The appearance of digital and open-source versions in the 21st century, such as Wikipedia, has vastly expanded the accessibility, authorship, readership, and variety of encyclopedia entries. Etymology. The word encyclopedia comes from the Greek enkyclios paideia, meaning general education, from enkyclios, meaning circular, recurrent, required regularly, general, and paideia, meaning education, rearing of a child. Together, the phrase literally translates as complete instruction or complete knowledge. However, the two separate words were reduced to a single word due to a scribal error by copyists of a Latin manuscript edition of Quintilian in 1470. The copyists took this phrase to be a single Greek word, encyclopedia, with the same meaning, and this spurious Greek word became the Neo-Latin word encyclopedia, which in turn came into English. Because of this compounded word, 15th century readers, and since, have often, and incorrectly, thought that the Roman authors Quintilian and Pliny described an ancient genre. Characteristics. The modern encyclopedia evolved from the dictionary in the 18th century. This lineage can be seen in the alphabetical order of print encyclopedias. Historically, both encyclopedias and dictionaries have been compiled by well-educated, well-informed content experts, but they are significantly different in structure. A dictionary is a linguistic work which primarily focuses on alphabetical listing of words and their definitions. Synonymous words and those related by the subject matter are to be found scattered around the dictionary, giving no obvious place for in-depth treatment. Thus, a dictionary typically provides limited information, analysis, or background for the word defined. While it may offer a definition, it may leave the reader lacking in understanding the meaning, significance, or limitations of a term, and how the term relates to a broader field of knowledge. To address those needs, an encyclopedia article is typically not limited to simple definitions and is not limited to defining an individual word, but provides a more extensive meaning for a subject or discipline. In addition to defining and listing synonymous terms for the topic, the article is able to treat the topic's more extensive meaning in more depth and convey the most relevant accumulated knowledge on that subject. An encyclopedia article also often includes many maps and illustrations, as well as bibliography and statistics. An encyclopedia is, theoretically, not written in order to convince, although one of its goals is indeed to convince its reader of its own veracity. Wikipedia co-founder Jimmy Wales has said that the goal of an encyclopedia should be to provide the sum of all human knowledge, but some meaning summary. In addition, sometimes books or reading lists are compiled from a compendium of articles, either wholly or partially taken from a specific encyclopedia. 4 major elements. There are 4 major elements that define an encyclopedia: its subject matter, its scope, its method of organization, and its method of production. Encyclopedias can be general, containing articles on topics in every field. The English language Encyclopedia Britannica and German Brockhaus are well-known examples. General encyclopedias may contain guides on how to do a variety of things, as well as embedded dictionaries and gazetteers. There are also encyclopedias that cover a wide variety of topics from a particular cultural, ethnic, or national perspective, such as the Great Soviet Encyclopedia or Encyclopedia Judaica. Works of encyclopedic scope aim to convey the important accumulated knowledge for their subject domain, such as an encyclopedia of medicine, philosophy, or law. Works vary in the breadth of material and the depth of discussion, depending on the target audience. Some systematic method of organization is essential to making an encyclopedia usable for reference. There have historically been 2 main methods of organizing printed encyclopedias: the alphabetical method, consisting of a number of separate articles organized in alphabetical order, and organization by hierarchical categories. The former method is today the more common, especially for general works. The fluidity of electronic media, however, allows new possibilities for multiple methods of organization of the same content. Further, electronic media offer new capabilities for search, indexing, and cross-reference. The epigraph from Horace on the title page of the 18th century. Encyclopedia suggests the importance of the structure of an encyclopedia. What grace may be added to commonplace matters by the power of order and connection. As modern multimedia and the information age have evolved, new methods have emerged for the collection, verification, summation, and presentation of information of all kinds. Projects such as Everything 2, Encarta, H2, G2, and Wikipedia are examples of new forms of the encyclopedia as information retrieval becomes simpler. The method of production for an encyclopedia historically has been supported in both for-profit and non-profit contexts. Such was the case of the Great Soviet Encyclopedia, mentioned above, which was entirely state-sponsored, while the Britannica was supported as a for-profit institution. Encyclopedic dictionaries. Some works entitled dictionaries are actually similar to encyclopedias, especially those concerned with a particular field, such as the Dictionary of the Middle Ages, the Dictionary of American Naval Fighting Ships, and Black's Law Dictionary. The Macquarie Dictionary, Australia's national dictionary, became an encyclopedic dictionary after its first edition in recognition of the use of proper nouns in common communication, and the words derived from such proper nouns. Differences between encyclopedias and dictionaries. There are some broad differences between encyclopedias and dictionaries. Most noticeably, encyclopedia articles are longer, fuller, and more thorough than entries in most general-purpose dictionaries. There are differences in content as well. Generally speaking, dictionaries provide linguistic information about words themselves, while encyclopedias focus more on the things for which those words stand. Thus, while dictionary entries are inextricably fixed to the word described, encyclopedia articles can be given a different entry name. As such, dictionary entries are not fully translatable into other languages, but encyclopedia articles can be. In practice, however, the distinction is not concrete, as there is no clear-cut difference between factual, encyclopedic information and linguistic information, such as appears in dictionaries. Thus, encyclopedias may contain material that is also found in dictionaries, and vice versa. In particular, dictionary entries often contain factual information about the thing named by the word. Pre-modern encyclopedias. The earliest encyclopedic work to have survived to modern times is the Naturalis Historia of Pliny the Elder, a Roman statesman living in the 1st century AD. He compiled a work of 37 chapters covering natural history, architecture, medicine, geography, geology, and all aspects of the world around him. This work became very popular in antiquity, was one of the first classical manuscripts to be printed in 1470, and has remained popular ever since as a source of information on the Roman world, and especially Roman art, Roman technology, and Roman engineering. The Spanish scholar Isidore of Seville was the first Christian writer to try to compile a summa of universal knowledge, the Etymologiae, circa 600 to 625, also known by classicists as the Origines. This encyclopedia, the first such Christian epitome, formed a huge compilation of 448 chapters in 20 books based on hundreds of classical sources, including the Naturalis Historia. Of the Etymologiae in its time, it was said, quacunque fere sciri debentur, practically everything that it is necessary to know. Among the areas covered were grammar, rhetoric, mathematics, geometry, music, astronomy, medicine, law, the Catholic Church and heretical sects, pagan philosophers, languages, cities, animals and birds, the physical world, geography, public buildings, roads, metals, rocks, agriculture, ships, clothes, food, and tools. Another Christian encyclopedia was the Institutiones Divinarum et Saecularium Literarum of Cassiodorus, 543 to 560, dedicated to the Christian divinity and to the 7 liberal arts. The Encyclopedia of Suda, a massive 10th century Byzantine encyclopedia, had 30,000 entries, many drawing from ancient sources that have since been lost, and often derived from medieval Christian compilers. The text was arranged alphabetically, with some slight deviations from common vowel order and place in the Greek alphabet. From India, the Siruphuvalaya, dated between 800 AD to 15th century, is a work of Kannada literature written by Kumudendu Muni, a Jain monk. It is unique because rather than employing alphabets, it is composed entirely in Kannada numerals. Many philosophies which existed in the Jain classics are eloquently and skillfully interpreted in the work. The enormous encyclopedic work in China of the 4 great books of song, compiled by the 11th century during the early Song dynasty, 960 to 1279, was a massive literary undertaking for the time. The last encyclopedia of the 4, the prime tortoise of the Record Bureau, amounted to 9.4 million Chinese characters in 1,000 written volumes. There were many great encyclopedists throughout Chinese history, including the scientist and statesman Shen Kuo, 1031 to 1095, with his Dream Pool essays of 1088, the statesman, inventor, and agronomist Wang Zhen, active 1290 to 1333, with his Nongshu of 1313, and Song Yingxing, 1587 to 1666, with his Tiangong Kaiwu. Song Yingxing was termed the Diderot of China by British historian Joseph Needham. Printed encyclopedias. Before the advent of the printing press, encyclopedic works were all hand-copied and thus rarely available, beyond wealthy patrons or monastic men of learning. They were expensive and usually written for those extending knowledge rather than those using it. During the Renaissance, the creation of printing allowed a wider diffusion of encyclopedias, and every scholar could have his or her own copy. The De Expetendis et Fugiendis Rebus by Giorgio Valla was posthumously printed in 1501 by Aldo Manuzio in Venice. This work followed the traditional scheme of liberal arts. However, Valla added the translation of ancient Greek works on mathematics, firstly by Archimedes, newly discovered and translated. The Margarita Philosophica by Gregor Reich, printed in 1503, was a complete encyclopedia explaining the 7 liberal arts. Financial, commercial, legal, and intellectual factors changed the size of encyclopedias. Middle classes had more time to read, and encyclopedias helped them to learn more. Publishers wanted to increase their output, so some countries like Germany started selling books missing alphabetical sections to publish faster. Also, publishers could not afford all the resources by themselves, so multiple publishers would come together with their resources to create better encyclopedias. Later, rivalry grew, causing copyright to occur due to weak, underdeveloped laws. John Harris is often credited with introducing the now familiar alphabetic format in 1704 with his English Lexicon Technicum, or a Universal English Dictionary of Arts and Sciences, explaining not only the terms of art, but the arts themselves, to give its full title. Organized alphabetically, its content does indeed contain explanation not merely of the terms used in the arts and sciences, but of the arts and sciences themselves. Sir Isaac Newton contributed his only published work on chemistry to the second volume of 1710. Encyclopédie. Encyclopédie was a general encyclopedia published in France between 1751 and 1772, with later supplements, revised editions, and translations. It had many writers, known as the encyclopédistes. It was edited by Denis Diderot and, until 1759, co-edited by Jean-Laurent d'Alembert. Encyclopedia Britannica. The Encyclopedia Britannica, Latin for British Encyclopedia, is a general knowledge English language encyclopedia. It has been published by Encyclopedia Britannica, Inc. since 1768, although the company has changed ownership 7 times. The encyclopedia is maintained by about 100 full-time editors and more than 4,000 contributors. The 2010 version of the 15th edition, which spans 32 volumes and 32,640 pages, was the last printed edition. Since 2016, it has been published exclusively as an online encyclopedia. Printed for 244 years, the Britannica was the longest-running in-print encyclopedia in the English language. It was first published between 1768 and 1771 in the Scottish capital of Edinburgh as 3 volumes. The encyclopedia grew in size. The second edition was 10 volumes, and by its fourth edition, 1801 to 1810, it had expanded to 20 volumes. Its rising stature as a scholarly work helped recruit eminent contributors, and the 9th, 1875 to 1889, and 11th editions, 1911, are landmark encyclopedias for scholarship and literary style. Starting with the 11th edition and following its acquisition by an American firm, the Britannica shortened and simplified articles to broaden its appeal to the North American market. Brockhaus Encyclopädie. The Brockhaus Encyclopädie is a German-language encyclopedia which until 2009 was published by the F.A. Brockhaus Printing House. The first edition originated in the Conversations Lexicon, published by Renatus Gotthelf Löbel and Franke in Leipzig, 1796 to 1808. Renamed Der Große Brockhaus in 1928 and Brockhaus Enzyklopädie from 1966, the current 21st 30-volume edition contains about 300,000 entries on about 24,000 pages, with about 40,000 maps, graphics, and tables. It is the largest German-language printed encyclopedia in the 21st century. In February 2008, F.A. Brockhaus announced the changeover to an online encyclopedia and the discontinuation of the printed editions. The rights to the Brockhaus trademark were purchased by Arvato Services, a subsidiary of the Bertelsmann Media Group. After more than 200 years, the distribution of the Brockhaus Encyclopedia ceased completely in 2014. Encyclopedias in the United States. In the United States, the 1950s and 1960s saw the introduction of several large popular encyclopedias, often sold on installment plans. The best known of these were World Book and Funk and Wagnalls. As many as 90% were sold door to door. Jack Lynch says in his book, "You could look it up that encyclopedia salespeople were so common that they became the butt of jokes." He describes their sales pitch saying, they were selling not books, but a lifestyle, a future, a promise of social mobility. A 1961 World Book ad said, You are holding your family's future in your hands right now, while showing a feminine hand holding an order form. As of the 1990s, two of the most prominent encyclopedias published in the United States were Collier's Encyclopedia and Encyclopedia Americana. Digital encyclopedias. Physical media. By the late 20th century, encyclopedias were being published on CD-ROMs for use with personal computers. This was the usual way computer users accessed encyclopedic knowledge from the 1980s and 1990s. Later, DVD discs replaced CD-ROMs, and by the mid-2000s, Internet encyclopedias were dominant and replaced disk-based software encyclopedias. CD-ROM encyclopedias were usually a Mac OS or Microsoft Windows 3.0, 3.1, or 95 and 98 application on a CD-ROM disk. The user would execute the encyclopedia's software program to see a menu that allowed them to start browsing the encyclopedia's articles, and most encyclopedias also supported a way to search the contents of the encyclopedia. The article text was usually hyperlinked and also included photographs, audio clips, for example in articles about historical speeches or musical instruments, and video clips. In the CD-ROM age, the video clips had usually a low resolution, often 160 x 120 or 320 x 240 pixels. Such encyclopedias, which made use of photos, audio, and video, were also called multimedia encyclopedias. However, because of the online encyclopedia, CD-ROM encyclopedias have been declared obsolete. Microsoft's Encarta, launched in 1993, was a landmark example as it had no printed equivalent. Articles were supplemented with video and audio files, as well as numerous high-quality images. After 16 years, Microsoft discontinued the Encarta line of products in 2009. Other examples of CD-ROM encyclopedia are Grolier Multimedia Encyclopedia and Britannica. Digital encyclopedias enable encyclopedia services, such as Wikimedia Enterprise, to facilitate programmatic access to the content. Online. An online encyclopedia, also called an Internet encyclopedia, is a digital encyclopedia accessible through the Internet. Examples include Wikipedia since 2001, the Encyclopedia Britannica since 2016, and encyclopedia.com. Free encyclopedias. The concept of a free encyclopedia began with the Interpedia proposal on Usenet in 1993, which outlined an internet-based online encyclopedia to which anyone could submit content, and that would be freely accessible. Early projects in this vein included Everything to an Open Site. In 1999, Richard Stallman proposed the GNUpedia, an online encyclopedia which, similar to the GNU operating system, would be a generic resource. The concept was very similar to Interpedia, but more in line with Stallman's GNU philosophy. It was not until Nupedia and later Wikipedia that a stable free encyclopedia project was able to be established on the Internet. The English Wikipedia, which was started in 2001, became the world's largest encyclopedia in 2004 at the 300,000 article stage. By late 2005, Wikipedia had produced over 2 million articles in more than 80 languages, with content licensed under the copyleft GNU Free Documentation License. As of August 2009, Wikipedia had over 3 million articles in English and well over 10 million combined articles in over 250 languages. Today, Wikipedia has 6,769,861 articles in English, over 60 million combined articles in over 300 languages, and over 250 million combined pages, including project and discussion pages. Since 2002, other free encyclopedias appeared, including Hudong, 2005, and Baidu Baike, 2006, in Chinese, and Google's Knoll, 2008 to 2012, in English. Some MediaWiki-based encyclopedias have appeared, usually under a license compatible with Wikipedia, including Encyclopedia Libre, 2002 to 2021, in Spanish, and Conservapedia, 2006, Scholarpedia, 2006, and Citizendium, 2007, in English, the latter of which had become inactive by 2014.